All right, guys, just want to make sure you landed at the right place. Everyone's here for the timeshare presentation. No, guys, in all seriousness, there's a major disconnect with what we're going to be discussing tonight. How many of you would like to get the absolute most you can get from Social Security? So our group has done this presentation well over 200 times, and not one single time has anyone said they didn't want to get the most that they can get. So what percentage of Americans would you guess file with the correct strategy based on their life expectancy, and they get the most that they could possibly get? The answer to that's 4%. 4% of Americans get this thing right. Everybody's going for it, but only 4% are actually nailing that decision. So what do you guys think is going on there? Why do you think everyone's going for this thing, and only 4% are actually getting it? Well, let's just start out with how many different ways is there to file, okay? So, do you know what's the earliest age someone can file? 62. And for most people, what's your full retirement age? 66, 67, kind of depending on your birthday. And what's the latest age someone can file? 70, okay? So there's three choices right there. So whenever you go to file, let me ask you a question. You go to file, how many different options, total combinations, do you think there are to choose from? The answer to that's 500 different combinations. There's over 500 different combinations when you consider married, single, divorced, widowed, early reductions, delayed credits. Over 500 different combinations. So it's complicated, right? It's not an easy decision. Should probably be a decision you should do after doing some math. We're under some different scenarios to figure out when your optimal age is. But usually it just kind of comes down to having the best information to make the best decision possible. So whenever I'm talking to people about Social Security, where do you think I find that most people get their information from? Maybe the internet, maybe Joe at the golf shop, friends, family, right? So let me ask you a question. If only 4% is getting this thing right, what do you think the chances are they got it right? Even if they did, even if they got it right for them and their family, does that mean that your family structure, your retirement pieces, your timeline is the same for them and their family? No. So it's complicated, right? Has anyone on here had any experience with the Social Security Administration yet? Maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, right? It's kind of like calling a big customer service company, right? Sometimes you get a really good person, they add a lot of value. A lot of times you don't, right? But it just seems like every year I talk to a couple of people that were just told the absolute wrong information from the administration. Now, to be fair, they only go through a few weeks of training. They're trained primarily just to help you through that process. File this paperwork out, set up your accounts, the fundamentals. They're not trained to, nor are they honestly even allowed to give you any sort of advice on Social Security optimization or any different strategies that might increase your benefit. And honestly, that's what most people are looking for. Most people are looking for, hey, I've got all this stuff, okay, that I've accumulated over the years. How do I collectively put all that together and make the best filing decision for me and my family? They're not allowed to help you with that kind of guidance. And there's a third one. This one's a little bit more concerning to me because it kind of throws my industry under the bus a little bit. And that's financial advisors are not giving their clients advice on Social Security optimization. They're not helping their clients run the different scenarios to figure out when their optimal age is. And when you consider that the 96% of Americans that aren't getting this thing all the way right, that the average lifetime household benefit that they're missing out on is $111,000. It's a lot of money. So the person that we're paying to help us navigate through retirement, stretch out all of our hard-earned dollars, for them not to be giving us advice on what for most Americans is the #1 income source in retirement, in my opinion, it's a major disservice, So I've got a couple of reasons why I think that's the case. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comment section why you think financial advisors aren't helping as much as maybe they should. But I'll tell you what my two are, okay? One, maybe they don't know. Maybe there was some big firm that we all know the names of up and down the streets, right? Maybe it's not part of their process. Maybe they haven't gone through the training, okay? If they don't know, they really can't help you. The other one's much more concerning, and that's they don't get paid to do it. They're not compensated to do so, right? And what happens is there's all these conflict of interest scenarios that can pop up. Because do you think it might be easy for me to say, you know what, hey, let's go ahead and draw your benefit early. Let's get some money coming in. And all this money that I am getting paid on, that I'm managing for you, let's just leave that alone. We'll draw on that later on. Might be the best case scenario for them. I don't know. I'd have to do the math. But can anybody see a potential conflict of interest there? Sure, right. So it's complicated. We've got over 500 different ways to file. Can't really depend on our friends and family because our situation is probably just completely different. Social Security Administration, they'll help us file, but they can't really give us the type of guidance we're honestly looking for. And the people that should be giving us that guidance, the financial advisors, they're just not helping. So at the end of the day, with all this being the case, whose responsibility ultimately is it to get this decision right? Yeah, it's yours, it's mine. So I want to commend everyone for watching this, okay? Just doing things like this, taking your time out, watching these broadcasts, reading the books, running the math, doing the different scenarios to figure out what your optimal age is so you can be in that 4%. So there's 2 promises I'm gonna make you guys. One, it's gonna be about an hour's worth of really action-packed, very beneficial material that we're gonna go over. We're gonna explain all of that as we go. And then 2, when you're done watching this, researching, understanding, you're gonna know more about Social Security than 95% of your peers, probably more than most financial advisors. So those are 2 promises I know we can deliver on, so let's go ahead and get started.